Hi everyone, it's Norman Kochnick here again. It looks as though it has become a joke. Well, BJ Daniels says it's a joke. No, I don't think it has. I don't think the match is over at this point. I think that this Irani's just said it's still raining there, but there's very good evidence there'll be play today. Very, very, very good evidence there'll be play today. And of course, we didn't have a session last night because there was nothing to report. We could have talked about a repeat of the session before, where I had Shrapali, Rurakoti, and Miru Jayawira. Of course, we have a number of guests that will be coming on hopefully later today. I'm waiting on a few. There's a few delays, but we'll get started. The reality is that, again, the Indian score has not changed overnight. There was no play whatsoever yesterday. Day effectively 4, which was yesterday, which is effectively day 3, was washed out. Not like day 1, which is day 1. Okay, so day 1 washed out. Day 2 and 3 effectively have had play on them, and now this is day 4. But it's added another 2 days on, so it reverts back to day 3. So effectively, we now have day 4 and day 5, which is really, this is actually, this is effectively day 5, but it is, in terms of the run of play, it'll be day 4. Get that clear. So Friday, Sunday, Monday, which is the first 4 days, are gone now, with 2 days washed out, 2 days play. This being the normal regulation 5th day is actually a regulation 4th day, with the day to come. It looks like the weather, despite being some intermittent rain, it looks as though there is a reasonably good chance of play and a lot of play today and tomorrow as well. Now, people are saying that's not going to be enough time to win the game or to have a chance of playing result. Well, I don't think that's the way we need to look at it, because I can assure you, Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson are not thinking that way. They both want a result, and there'll be no safety first mechanisms here. In fact, considering the price tag, the purse for second place is 800,000, and sharing it equally, I think, will be then probably, I'm not sure exactly how much that will be. They may split an amount which will be minimally different. So no one wants to get second. They want to all go for first. You're not going to lose out either. Even if you go for it and you lose, you're still getting the same monetary value, roughly the same monetary value in sharing it. So look, there might be a slight difference, but quite frankly, they're not bothered with playing hard and losing. It's better than being conservative and being a shared trophy. I would have to agree with that. So I think we'll see an all-out attack by both sides. New Zealand will go out of their way. They might be conservative the first half an hour of play today, and once they get through that, they're going to be going for it. Now, at the same time, India will be on the attack from ball 1, trying to take wickets, learning from their first day's bowling effort, not unlike what New Zealand did. I'm expecting India to come out hard and take early wickets, and New Zealand will probably struggle to get past the score. I'm expecting that. And if that is the case, then we've got a huge game on. Then India will go into bat and go all guns blazing, try and put on maybe close to 200, and then declare, giving New Zealand potentially 2 sessions to get 200 or something like that. And I can imagine it'll be quite a match. Maybe I'm not exactly right with the scores, but there'll be an element of that. Depending on which forecast you look at, it's either light clouds all day with a less than 10% chance of rain and getting brighter throughout the day, or potentially some rain around lunchtime. Either way, 10% chance of rain is virtually nothing. And both of Munchie's predictions there are, in my opinion, very, very, what's the word for it? Very, very exciting. And then we'll get a full day's play. I was waiting last night, Norman. Yeah, you will. And you were waiting on a very minimal report. What would I say? It's rained all day. Bye. Clearly, I had to make a debate on whether it was worthwhile. And I noticed that there was a good chat in the actual chat line of you, which is great, which is fantastic, which is what this is all about. Is camaraderie, Rani and Munchie and a whole bunch of it. Munchie, did you enjoy the one that you saw from Shrapali and Miru? Did you watch it? Tell me. Good morning, sir. How are you today? Sonny Batsman, I'm very good. Let's stick to day 5. No. It's a 6-day match. Okay, this is 6-day test match, and this is day 5. Correct. Will it be a draw or win for one? I still maintain there'll be a win coming out of this. We need to do. We don't mind sharing the trophy with the Kiwis. No, I don't think it's a matter of wanting to share. It's not a matter of not minding. It's a matter of winning, and that's what they should do. This is extremely important. Derek, please have importance in this match. There's still plenty of overs for a match to yeah, it's going to be a joint winner. Nobody wants to be a joint winner. Can the ICC rule midway and make 2 or 3 reserve days? No, they can't. They may look at that in the future. I think a final has to be given extra dispensation to go as long as it takes. I think many people have been talking about bowling 450 overs, regardless of how long it takes, as a minimum, as a minimum maximum. And that would mean if it takes 6 days to bowl 450 overs, or 7 days to bowl 450 overs, well then fine. Or it only takes 5 days, or they're all out in 3 days, then it's okay. But yeah, I think that's a very good policy. Not an endless test matches, but only make it a 450 overs day time period. Whether it's 5, 6, 7 days, it doesn't matter. It'll be 450 overs, which is the same as 5 days of 90. Okay, I'm not going to put the name up there. Next shot, Norman, can you give me alcohol? No, I can't do that. 1.2 million US dollars each if it's a shared. 1.25 probably if it's shared, which winner. In fact, if it's 1.5 million for the winner and 800,000 for the second, the loser of the match, that's 2.3. It'd probably be 1.15, perhaps. I'm not sure. Okay. What do you think on the decision of ICC to host ICC trophies in England where Iron can interrupt? Again, we've had this discussion already many, many times. The reality is that is the way it is. And there's every reason, every right for it to be in England first, because England is the home of cricket. And every major session of ICC tournaments, from the 50 over World Cup and 75 with West Indies and England, and the T20 World Cups have generally started in England. It's a fair start. You've got to start somewhere. So I have no problems with that at all. And we shouldn't be looking at that. Take my question. I just did. I'm not going to be answering your questions. They're going to be. You put stupid questions, I'm not answering. Do you think that the match would be a draw? No, it's not with any certainty at all. No certainty whatsoever that this match will be a draw. It's likely. It's highly likely, but it doesn't mean it will. I shouldn't even say highly likely. It's what will be the worst case scenario, really, for both sides, because I think the winner, if I can assure you, if there's 2 sessions to go and say New Zealand sent India into bat for those 2 sessions, India will be going for it like you won't believe. If there's anything below 250, they've got an incredibly good chance of doing it. Have we forgotten how much they scored on the 5th day of the fourth or fifth test on the Gabba? They scored an enormous amount of runs at that end day to work. So when we gave them, in fact, they needed 237 in the last 2 sessions. There was no hope of them getting that. They did. They did it with a canter. They did it easily. If New Zealand go beyond 250 or 300 today, then I think we'll be in deep trouble, Norman. Yeah, that's it. It certainly is the case. If New Zealand go to score 250, 300, let's say 300, then it's going to be interesting to see. Look, it's different conditions in New England, yes, but you can't take away the fact that the opportunity is there. Rain will save you. I don't want to say that because it's still too early. We cannot say conclusively whether or not New Zealand will get past India's score. There's no way you can say that at this moment. Just going to show the new hat that I got today. In fact, there's 5 versions. There's 2. You can see a version up here. There's a hat there. Can you see the hat? Hat there, and hat here. That's 3. And there's a dark blue and a dark black. Or dark blue. They're actually called latte brown, white. This is called a petrol blue, light blue. Then there's a navy blue, which is actually French navy. It's called the dark blue. And then, of course, black. They're the colours. That's one of my other hats. My hat back on. There's that one there. So they're all coming out now, guys. Okay. Brown, as in latte brown, white, blue, as in a light blue, which is petrol blue. Then there's a dark blue, which is French navy, and black. Okay. So 2 blues, correct. Canary yellow? No, we haven't got a canary yellow. But do you want me to get a canary yellow? I don't think I'm going to have a canary yellow at this point. We might. If there's a desire for canary yellow, we'll get it. If you think you're a canary. Tomorrow's looking great for weather, so we should have 2 full days. Now, if that is the case, 2 full days is certainly well up there in terms of numbers. Steve Mayman's joining us. How are you, Steve?
Hello, mate. Hang on a minute. We've got a sound problem here. You there?
Yeah, we're on air already.
I can't hear you. Hang on a minute. I might have to change.
That's right.
Change to something. I'm in
I see
a different
horses
location. So let me change this.
All right, so tomorrow's looking great for weather, and so we should have 2 full days of weather, warm weather, and at least not only warm but clear skies for weather. Hello, Steve.
Hey, mate. How are
you? You and I, I'm waiting on other people to come. We might have a nice intimate start.
Yeah, I thought I'd just jump on for a little.
I can see horses behind you.
Yeah. I'm not in the studio at the moment. I'm cooking a roast lamb, so I'm staying a bit closer to it. And yeah, so
should I come over after? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, mate. Tom Cruise, yourself, whoever you want to bring.
I won't be bringing Tom Cruise. Why would I bring Tom Cruise?
No, I don't think he could play cricket either. He doesn't know much about his cricket, but what about? Yeah,
I've got that hat there. Look, see, I've got this hat here. Can you see the hat?
Yes, you're the cricket guy. Yes, eyes on cricket.
And I got this one here, the new one. It's the true white colour. It's got that today.
I don't mind the white. That's more of a one-day cricket style, that one.
Yeah. And you got behind you, you can see, where is it? You can see a hat there, which is the latte brown.
Yes. Well, do you see one on my head? Have you got a large one that would fit my melon there, Norman?
I'm sure I will. I will have one for sure.
Well, that's it. Because I feel like I'm part of the. I feel like I'm part of the team now. The Eyes on Cricket team.
Well, I'll come and visit you. How about a hat for a bit of lamb? That sounds like a good deal.
There, done deal.
Oh, okay.
And so what about last time I spoke to you? You asked me to make a bold prediction, and I correctly picked that New Zealand would come out and make a fist of it, and they did against the Indians. They just got rid of them cheaply. I think it was 217. And I apologise to Rishabh Pant, my favourite Indian cricketer, but I did predict that he'd go cheaply, and he got out for 4. And it was a bit of a turnaround. Like it was interesting how they did turn it around, and they made it a contest. And then Devon Conway, who I also tipped on a previous show that he would come out and go good, and he got a double century. He comes out and gets 50 and gives them a good start, the Kiwis. He lost his wicket to a bit of an ordinary shot down. It was going down leg side. He didn't really have to play at it, but he got out, and so he's averaging 76, Conway, after I think it's only 3 innings, which is early days. But yeah, so they got to start New Zealand. I have heard you talking that this game is still alive, and that maybe that if India can come out and get some quick wickets, then the game will be back on. It remains to be seen. Yeah.
Well, the reality is that 2 for 102, they are in a good position. But India were also in a very good position on the first day. It's kind of the first day of play. India were 3 for 146.
Yep.
Then we're all out for 211, 217. So effectively they lost 7 for 71. So the first day was India's. India looked particularly good. New Zealand bowlers were quite raw. Then New Zealand got their act together the third day and bowled really well, got 7 for 71. And then, of course, New Zealand got 2 for 102. There's every chance that India will get their act together today and bowl better lengths.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, 217 doesn't sound like a big score, but to go from 202 to 217, if the bowling conditions are friendly for the bowlers,
yes,
that could be quite a struggle. And I'm not being negative deliberately, but you could see New Zealand fall for 180 all out. It's quite possible.
Yeah, that's
Get
right.
a couple of early wickets. This game's going to ebb and flow. We haven't seen the last of the chapters of this game on.
Yeah.
And with 2 days fully left, if New Zealand go out rather cheaply, then it's game on. Then it's game on for both sides.
Well, that's correct now. But New Zealand have got 2 incredibly talented batsmen at the crease still. So that remains the task of the Indians to remove those guys. I think that's going to be key to this match. If those guys can get in there and knock a score out, then the game will be swung well into New Zealand's favour. But I think at the end of play the other day, Ishant Sharma was looking dangerous. and the Indians were looking like it could go either way. So it is an interesting battle. It's unfortunate that weather has destroyed a lot of the hopes of the game, and that 2 days it's a bit of an ask to. We're only in the first innings, both sides have got to bat again, and we've only got 2 days, so we do need something to happen, some fireworks to happen out there today. But I'm hearing the weather's going to be okay today and tomorrow, so at least there's something.
Well, tomorrow sounds like it's going to be. Tomorrow is absolutely clear. Today is only 10% of chance of rain, which is virtually nothing. It might be a small stoppage to play.
Yeah.
I'm getting asked whether there's an eyes on cricket helmet. Good idea. I might think of that.
There you go.
Chapter.
Yeah, well, that is it. Protect the head, just like they do in the NRL. HIA.
Now, with this comment, I want to talk about this, Steve. The talk about shame on the ICC. I don't agree at all. I think the ICC have done a sterling job at understanding that it's important to Test cricket, having sizable pay packets for both teams, going about a tournament with some fine-tuning. That will mean it's the top echelon of Test cricket. I think it's a great idea. They had to pick England because that was a natural beginning. In future tournaments, they'll go UAE, India, wherever. They'll go wherever it's necessary. But I understand starting in England. It's not the wrong thing to do. The weather's not perfect, so be it. If we get a result, then that'll all not be important.
It's just, I have heard there's a couple of celebrities, so famous cricketers that have been bagging the ICC and saying, what are they doing playing it in England? They're asking for trouble, but it's just an unlucky weather event, and these things happen.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, if it was fair weather for it would have been a success, and we'll never know that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do.
I'm still maintaining it. If New Zealand get less than 250 in this innings, then it's game on big time for both sides. And if New Zealand get a 100 lead, then we could see an unfortunate win against India very quickly. But I don't. 2 full days. 2 full days to me spells result.
Yep. And there was talk about a sporting innings declaration, but that was sort of quick. There's no way that anyone's going to be in such an important game is going to offer up anything. I don't think so. Yeah, it's either going to get all the wickets.
They may not offer up anything that's too easy, but they may make a contest of it. I think New Zealand at this stage will bat last, and India, if they get runs on the board in the third innings of the match, the second innings of their innings, then it's possible they may set a declaration. India will be a lot bolder than, say, England were. England took no chances at all, which was very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. Because they lost that. They had a chance to win that first test, and through their conservative nature, they actually had a draw, and they then were smashed in the second match. So, really, it's England's fault.
And this goes against the whole idea of getting Test cricket back in the spotlight, because conservative nature isn't going to bring back people to the Test cricket. Everyone loves the T20 and the one-dayers, and you'd prefer to see them have a crack and lay it on the line and bring some excitement to the match, rather than, let's just play for a draw and play not to get beaten. Playing not to get beaten it will not bring the crowds back, and it's just a bit of a shame watching the crowd there. There's not much crowd there, so we come back to this COVID crisis, and a few things have conspired against the game itself, the weather and the COVID. But let's hope that it's here to stay, and that next time, it builds into something a spectacle, a cricketing showpiece that it should have been.
So we've got someone here, Rishabh Gupta, not Punt, saying that he sees a probability of a 60% draw, 25% New Zealand win, and 15% India win. I'm only going to be able to judge the last 2 percentages when New Zealand have had a bit more of a bat this morning. Yeah. After the first session of play, if New Zealand haven't lost a wicket and they're getting close to 200, well, then I would argue that's pretty spot on. But that first session is really important for both sides.
Well, I'm looking at it right here, Norman, and on my Google search, it's saying 73% chance of a draw, 6% chance for India, 21% chance for the Black Caps. So I suppose that's realistic, really. Like that's how it sits at the moment, with 75%
that's right, but that
chance
can change within one session. That can change within one session.
Yeah, that might swing if India come out and go bang, bang, bang and get a few New Zealanders out. But I was just looking at Ross Taylor, and he's got a fair record, hasn't he? He's been around a while, and he's a guy that can get runs. So, like I said before, him and Kane Williamson, they are the key to this match, and they'll be desperate to get those out early if they can. But like I said, Ross Taylor, what a record! I think he scored almost a 300. He scored plenty of tons, plenty of 50. So yes, and the captain there as well. Yeah.
The other thing that I'm saying to you is that it's probably going to be Ross Taylor's. If let's just say New Zealand do win this match, I would argue it's going to be New Zealand will see not only BJ Watling retire, but also Ross Taylor retire. Because Ross Taylor wanted to go out and win with the 2019 World Cup, which they lost.
Right.
He said then he was in a mood to actually retire. I think there's a fair chance he may see this as his swan song as well. So on that basis, what you're saying is right. Ross may put in an extra special effort to make an innings of this. This is one of his last two innings. You might see Ross Taylor put a mark on it. Because when they come out and they lead they get 300 and something, and they get a plus 100 lead, then India are under enormous pressure.
Oh, my word, they were. Well, that's right.
They'll be under enormous pressure.
100%. So if they, like you said, if they get 300, they will fancy themselves to, let's say they're hitting around the 300 mark with a few hours to go this evening or in today's play. They'd like to send India in, and they back themselves to bowl them out and win the game. That's the plan, I'd say, for New Zealand.
This is a very good point, though. Mr. Nair here has said India needs a good start because both Kiwi batsmen are not completely set. If they get them early, game on.
Yes, well, he's not completely set. Ross Taylor, he's had no runs on 2 balls. So
both batsmen are in the same boat. They're coming out fresh, aren't they? So
well, true. That's right. So different day, different conditions. The ball may be still swinging. It's overcast, so it's going to be hard work. But yeah, Kane Williamson, he's faced 37 deliveries for 12 runs, but he has to get out there and find his eye again before he can be any confident of getting it done. So it's an intriguing battle. We're going to hopefully see some play on time tonight.
Well, it's looking that way. We'll get a bit of a gauge soon. We've got this is almost a 2-hour discussion we're going to have here. You may not be on for the whole lot, but are you going to work tonight?
No, I'm off tonight. Okay. But I'll probably just stay for a little while until some of your esteemed guests can come on, and I'll make way for them. But yeah, I just wanted to come on, and I don't know if any of your listeners or viewers remember that, but yeah, I was just quite happy that I went to work after I predicted New Zealand, and sure enough, wickets just kept tumbling, and it was just like I feel like I'm a bit of a cricketing Nostradamus at the moment, like saying that, and and poor old Punt, he hit a 4, I think, and then he sort of was a bit of a silly shot when he got caught in the slips, I think it was, but yeah.
Well, I mean, that could have went both ways, couldn't it? That could have went both ways.
Yes.
That could have been dropped, and then it would have been game on. It's really one of those results that you just don't know. Sometimes it was really don't know.
Well, I suppose you've talked about this already, but it really was the Kyle Jamieson show, wasn't it? 5-star, and he ripped through the Indian attack, and he's a big lump of a lad, and he certainly can bowl. And if you're looking for a reason that New Zealand to win this game, you can look no further than him for what he produced in the first innings, and that's like I said before. If I know a lot of your viewers are Indians, and I'm not trying to death ride India at all. I'd love to see us come out and force a comeback. Even today, if it turns on its head again and India come back and they get some early wickets and they get back out there and knock some runs out, and our man Punt comes out, and he might get another chance. He'd be desperate to get some runs in this big game, as would Kohli as well. Kohli went early, and that was when you thought, well, hang on, this could be a turning point here when he got dismissed. I think it was early on.
Well, that's a great example. That's a great example of day one to day 2. Chalk and cheese. He batted very well the day before, cautiously and well for his 44, and then was out without even scoring a further 3 balls later the next day.
Yes.
And New Zealand bowled particularly well on the second day after bowling fairly ordinarily on the first.
Yes.
Take today's match. You might see New Zealand may lose some very quick wickets early on, and India might be on song with their bowling, have understood their lengths.
Yeah.
And that's the way this match is. I'm predicting there's going to be another twist and turn, or maybe even a further twist to this match.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be New Zealand going well for the rest of the match at all. I think it's going to be a combination of both sides pulling their best out. Can you imagine if New Zealand get all out for 180? Okay?
Yeah. You sort of want that, don't we?
That puts us straight back against New Zealand right away.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it does.
And that's where it gets...
Yeah, it does. We've got
a situation here where Ashwin has a good record against Williamson and Taylor. I think today will be Ashwin Day. Look, that's going to be the test because Ashwin has time and time again taken fifers in very, very important matches. As the match progresses, he becomes more prominent.
Yes.
It's going to be intriguing to see how he goes. It really is. They're going to be all guns blazing. They're not going to hold back.
No, well, I think you mentioned that earlier. It's a star-studded bowling lineup, the Indian attack, isn't it? So any one of those guys could be the man. And Ishan Sharma looked really good, and he was fired up too. I think when he got Conway, just the emotion of that moment was quite good. It was one of the highlights of the match. Really seeing that he's fought his way back for his team, and even though he got him on a delivery that he was just down. Usually Conway should put that away, but I think on the commentary they said that he's got a habit of knocking those into the air sometimes, playing that shot. So that could be a bit of a downfall for him. But he's a guy that's averaging 76 in Test matches, so he's not going too bad, and he may yet get another.
Not at all.
He may yet get another.
So okay, but he has scored. This is an interesting twist. Devon Conway scored well in all of his first innings, not so much his second.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, well, that could be a telling factor.
I don't think anyone's going to get over 50 for the rest of the Test match. That's my prediction.
There you go. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised because of the way the conditions are. But like we just spoke to Conway, he's played 2 Tests and he's raised the bat both times. So it's not a bad stat, is it? He's
a fantastic start.
He's 2 for 2, really.
It's more important for an opening batsman to get score in the first innings of a Test match, not the second inning. So he's proven himself. So have you made a mistake by playing?
Well, we had this conversation last time I was on, and I think David Graven, he said that you play your best bowlers. So regardless sometimes of how the pitch is, I know in Australia that's quite often a telling factor. Say the SCG, you play your spinners because of the way the wicket turns, but in the WACA you're playing pace bowlers. But if you've got spinners like quality spinners, if they're the 5 best bowlers available, then that's who you play. And I think that's what we established there. But they might be a quick or a swing bowler underdone. Norman, what are your thoughts on that, India?
Okay, to me, these 5 bowlers, except for Siraj, who didn't make it, are the top 5 bowlers that India have on deck.
Yep.
Proven.
Right.
They're not only good bowlers, but they're proven winners. Ashwin, Jadeja, and Bumrah certainly won games. Sharma's bowled fantastically on these conditions. Ishan Sharma's got a long record of success. They are the best 5 bowlers on deck, and surprisingly, the first time that these 5 bowlers have been together. Now, on the first day, Conway and the like batted very well, yes, and Latham, but their both wickets have fallen now. Now, this is extremely crucial, this first session. If Williamson and Ross Taylor go unscathed through it, then I'd say New Zealand are in the ascendancy. Yes. But if they lose 4 or 5 wickets, which is very likely on this sort of pitch, it turns the game well around. And I'm going to give a prediction. I actually feel that, I'm not trying to be nasty on New Zealand, but I think if those 2 fall early, we're looking at a total of 180.
Yeah. And back to that question, are these conditions favourable for batsmen against spinners? Would they prefer to be? Would the batsman prefer to be facing a spinner in these overcast conditions where the ball's swinging and very hard to pick up? So I think there may be some merit in that. That it might be. I know personally, I know what I'd rather be facing out there than 200 kilometre an hour fast ball or 180, 70 kilometre an hour ball swinging away from the bat, or just a ball that's turning a little bit slower.
You've got some merit in what you said, but you are talking about Ashwin and Jadeja. Two of the best spinners in the world. It's like having Warner. It's like having Warner and McGill together. Not quite the same, but not so.
Well, they're not.
I don't think Australia. Australia's only ever had only really haven't late had Nathan Lyon. Nathan Lyon hasn't bowled with anyone. But in the days when McGill and Warne were together, that was lethal. Regardless of the pitch, quite frankly.
Yes.
And as Shane Warne maintains, if there's bounce and movement and seam, the ball will also spin. So, and those two, Jadeja and Ashwin, have got variations to their bowling, not just simply how much they spin the ball.
Yeah. Well, you make a good point. They're both as hard as each other, really, isn't it? So there'd be no easy. Neither is an easy task for the Kiwi batsman, is it? Really, when you got five world class bowlers. So yeah, it's a good question, but it's one it's a very hard one to answer because there's merits for both types of bowling, isn't there?
Well, the reality is that it is going to come down to Williamson and Ross Taylor. Nichols is a great batter. I'm not knocking his batting, and Watling's a good bat too. But really, it's these two now that can make a fist of this. Because if they both get knocked over early, then there's a huge shift in the momentum. It'll move very quickly to India, and they take 4 or 5 in the session. And India have got New Zealand all of a sudden 7 for 130, 140.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to be their tails will be up, and they'll be going for it. And all that's telling me is we're going to get a result.
Yep.
Either way, there's going to be a result. I truly believe there's enough time for a result because we're going to step up a notch now. We're going to be a lot more attacking in the field. They're not going to be very defensive. They're going to be full on attack, both field and the bowling. That's what will happen. All right. Game on if Taylor and Kane. Read that.
Game on if Taylor and Kane get dismissed within the first 10 overs. Oh, well, that's right. That's what we're saying. That's the task for India. If they can dismiss these two of the great Kiwi batsmen, that their records speak for themselves. So, yeah, big challenge. 2 really good batsmen, 2 of their best batsmen. And yes, I completely agree that if they can get them out, then it is game on. But as we said before, if not, if they can get their eye in and build some runs, they're going to put huge pressure on India then, and the game will swing back more into the Kiwis' favour, yeah.
So if you go back to start of what was effectively day 3, when Rahane and Kohli walked out to bat. Kohli was on 44, Rahane on 29. Both were in ascendancy, looking like getting big scores.
Yes.
They felt, well, Rahane did get 49. He didn't bat too badly, but Kohli was out within 3 balls. What I'm getting at was they looked as strong as what Taylor and Williamson will now. But hang on a minute. Williamson and Taylor have not really got any runs on the board at all yet.
No.
Taylor's faced 2 balls, and Williamson's faced not many more, and he's not on many runs. So they both are pretty much going to have to. It's really up to them two to set the tone of this match from now on. Well, it's extremely tactically inspiring, this match.
Yeah, well, India are going to want to do exactly what the Kiwis did to them. Do exactly what they did. Quickly dismiss the team for a cheap total and get out there. And that remains to be seen if they can do that. But that's exactly what they're going to want to do, is what was done to them only the last time they were out there. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And so what do you do, Norman? Just so you can run us through for the novice that might not know. So your eyes on cricket. So I'm a shift worker. I work night shift down at the wharfs. So do you stay up and watch these games overnight and have a sleep during the day, make sure you see it? Because you are eyes on cricket. So you watch. So you'll stay up tonight till 3 a.m. to watch every bit of play?
Easily, because I'm a huge advocate for Test cricket.
Yep.
It was a little bit harder during the IPL because IPL's a bit more. I don't know how to describe this. IPL's a different mode. Test cricket for me has always been everything. I could watch 5 days. I do. I go to Test matches and watch every ball. It's my favourite thing to do, so it's not an issue. But the reality is you have a situation here where this match is worth keeping the toothpicks up for your eyes. I mean, I throughout my life, I think I watched most games of the Ashes in England when Australia played England in say, Lords. They were the most riveting matches, and they were dour. And watching people like Ian Botham and Viv Richards, well, of course, he played for the West Indies, but the reality was that was some of the best Test matches. You go and watch a match between the West Indies and England. They were tremendous. And there's a man, his name is Robin Uarte, and I'll send you the link. I'm promoting his page. He's a specialist in taking old videos from the 19-year dot and bringing them to life with colour and motion. So a series of photographs suddenly becomes a video.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And it's awe-inspiring. It's like, when you see old World War I and World War II movies and they come back to life and throw colour in there, and how riveting that is to watch.
Yes.
If you watch them, you'll see someone like Don Bradman and you'll understand why he was such a good batter. The grounds he was playing on was a mudlark. There were literally pools of water on the ground.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Mm.
You wouldn't go near it in this modern age.
Yeah.
It's like you would say, right, take the covers off. Never put the covers on. Never put the covers on and go out and bat. How do you reckon the modern cricketer would go?
No, they wouldn't have it. No. So there's no nodding off for you and the overnight watching the game, and then you come on again after the game and do a recap of the day's play, do you?
Well, I didn't do it last night because obviously there was no need to.
There was no play.
Absolutely no play. I think it was obvious. But amazingly, Munchie and a few people actually started, and we have a live chat going on my, because I actually set the time frame up. I didn't actually turn it off. So all the people stayed up for it and were talking on the live chat without anyone watching. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, that is loyal, because with no play, play's abandoned, and you guys are still on there chatting about cricket. That's how much you guys and your viewers love cricket. That is good. That is good. That's why you've got a hat on that says, eyes on cricket.
Eyes on cricket. Can you imagine if South didn't play Newcastle, right? The game was called off for whatever reason, and there was a live chat to the game, and there was a park which was empty with covers. Would you be there live chatting?
No. That is probably not. No, but so that is big, mate. Yeah, it's interesting.
You remember the days when Australia played England in rugby league on the Kangaroo tours? Weren't they some of the most riveting matches to watch?
Oh yes,
live?
Yes. So true that, yes, and
they had an edge to them.
Yes, exactly. So, I'd get up in the middle of the night to watch the Aussies play in rugby league, and I've also done that with a lot of I do like my golf. So when the Masters and all of that's on, I'll get up and watch that in the middle of the night because I find that. So it's these big events, they are worth getting up for.
Of course they are. I mean, you've just answered your own question there by what you just said. Yeah. You would sit up for a rugby league match and you'd watch you wouldn't miss either half.
Yep.
In golf, you'd watch the whole 18 during the day. The same with cricket. It's the same upbeat approach. There's no different whatsoever. It's exactly they're good comparisons for you to take on.
Yeah, and I noticed you had about 7,500 on last night, and I viewed your video, and there was no play. So it's just you probably would have had a lot more if play was going to be on, and people would have come on to see what you had to say. But you've got a loyal following, and it's admirable that you're doing this with your cricket show, and I'm obviously trying to build up my rugby league show and my podcast and Rabbitohs TV. But happy to come on here and talk cricket with you and see how a bloke gets it done that's been doing it for a while and has built a loyal audience. And hello to everyone out there. This guy is good and he knows his stuff. Like I've heard you talk about pitches and I've heard you talk about tactics in the game, and so you've been following this sport for a long time, and you're doing a good job, mate.
Well, thank you very much, Sal. I really appreciate that. I mean, the reality is you're equally as good at talk with your rugby league, but it's about having a passion for the sport and understanding what the needs of the people are. The people want to hear. I mean, the overwhelming response to this show at the moment is, first of all, it's the fan reaction. They love the fan reaction.
Yeah.
They love newspaper talk because they don't get to see what Australian newspapers are reporting on games. Yes. They also love to see the interaction with ex-players or people that know what they're talking about, like yourself or Chris Vernon, or David Graveney. David Graveney, who on the show was the chairman of selectors for England for over 10 years. He was responsible for selecting Michael Vaughan, Flintoff, Kevin Peterson, Monty Panesar, Strauss, Cook, a whole raft of England players that he personally, you could argue, nurtured. And even more recently, he's taken on the Curran family, Sam and Tom, and I think Ben's another cousin, another brother as well. He's taken on a whole range of the new batch. I think the James Bracey, the keeper who played the first Test match, they've all come under David's tutelage. And to hear what he has to say, the man also was personal friends with Princess Diana, was at her funeral, sitting right next to Elton John when he was playing the piano. I mean, the man's got incredible. And then introduce him to Galton Bhattacharya, who's written many books. They had their first meeting together on air. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I feel quite privileged to actually be included in the conversation with David because, you know, like I said, he's a legend of the sport and I'm not. And just to be able to sit in the and discuss cricket with him is brilliant. And
he treats you no differently than anyone else. He has respect for everybody. And that's the key. You don't have to be a 100-game veteran to be able to talk about cricket. You don't have to be a person that's done everything. Because quite frankly, sometimes those people are a little bit, expectant. They think things are known and they don't express it very well. The best expresser of a cricket match is someone like Jimmy Maxwell, who you know of, who's on ABC Radio. He's been running now for 40. Yes. 1973 started. So it's 48 years. Yeah. He's coming on the next few days, actually.
Oh, that'd be great. And I grew up watching cricket with my dad, and you know, I've had a lifetime of watching cricket, and I grew up with Richie Benaud commentating, and Maxie Walker, and some of the greats like Ian Chappell, and you know, and it was a real staple for us because rugby league was in the winter and cricket was in the summer, and just the whole Test match, and then the one-day cricket came in, and the Windies. We used to have some great battles with the Windies, and you know, Viv Richards, and you know, some of the greats of the game played for them, you know, and you know, Andy Roberts, and so just some great, when we had some great battles with the Poms too, with Ian Botham, and then you know, same with the Indians over the years, you know, with V.S. Laxman, and it's so there's such a rich history.
Was the 2003 match. I think it was 2003, where I'm going to check that year. It was the 2002 or 2003. I always get that wrong. When Laxman and Dravid, Indians was set in to follow on. They were in disastrous trouble, and then Laxman got 280, and good old Dravid's got a big century as well. That was one of the most dramatic, and then to be able to win that match from that position, and Harbhajan Singh, who was the feistiest of feistiest Indian bowlers, despite being a spinner, came out and tore us apart. There's a good example. Harbhajan Singh's not like an Ashwin now. Ashwin could get his act together, have Jadeja at the other end, who has this slight movement in his delivery or slight variation. There is a massive chance those two could take hold of this match. If Bumrah, it needs someone like Bumrah or Shami to take Williamson or Taylor early, then expose the rest of the batting lineup, and those guys will clean them up. I still maintain we could see an amazing result here that will go against all belief. Really, I'm quite serious about that.
Yep.
And people are still, I mean, Rahul Kumar Singh is saying shame on the ICC. No, I don't agree at all. Be wary of what you're saying. The ICC have gone out. The ICC have brought on a Test World Cup. Applaud them for that.
Yeah,
it was. We were hanging out for that for a long time. They've actually done it.
Yeah,
at a prize money point.
And ICC. You don't have any affiliation with the ICC. So this is your independent opinion, isn't it? You call it how you see. Call it how you see it. It's not like if you agreed with them, it's not like you would say,
No, I mean, ICC to me have had their doubters over the years. So have the BCCI. But I think both of them have done very well. Cricket Australia, for example, I was particularly heavy on them up until about a year ago. They were in a mess. Hubris, arrogance, thought they were the best. And they end up having Sandpaper Gate as the pinnacle of all that. All of them seem to almost encourage that in a way. But then we had a change of position there where they now have a new CEO, and he's fantastic. And he has done a great job. And to me, they've got a great future. Now they have a great future. And I think, but it's going to take some time because arrogance is something that doesn't go away easily. When it comes from, and you know, with rugby league, if you have bad management that create a culture of problems, then you will have a situation where the players exude that same problem. Would you agree?
Has Aussie cricket recovered fully from Sandpaper Gate, mate?
No.
No. It's a shame for us Aussies as us being the former superstars of the international game. To see the state now where we've been relegated to, we win some games and we don't win some games. And we always used to expect to win. We always used to expect to get runs, and we always used to expect to get wickets. And it's a bit
funny.
of a
I've
change.
just Googled the CEO. I've just Googled the CEO of Cricket Australia. Right, Google it, and it come up with Kevin Roberts, who has been sacked. He was there for a split second. That who replaced James Sutherland, who was arguably on the arrogant side. Those two, but so it's a bit ordinary that they haven't even updated the CEO on a Google search. That should have been the first thing showing.
Kevin Roberts used to be a former referee in the NRL, just as a little aside.
No, it's not the same guy. It's not the same guy.
No, different guy. I don't think he's alive anymore, but he's a legendary referee in the NRL.
So you look at the people they've got now. They've got Nick Hockley. He is the new CEO. I've met him only recently. He is the loveliest man. He has a different demeanour. He'll talk to anyone, anywhere, for any reason. He's got time. I like that about him immediately. You've got Stephanie Beltram. You've got Joe Fennessy, who's, I think, relatively new. You've got Samantha Douglas. Anthony Everard, he's very good. They've got quite a few female leaders now. Drew Gin. Now, Drew Gin was one of the awesome foursome, if I'm not wrong. The rowers. So they've actually developed. He was one of the rowers. So they've got a rather what looks like a younger, vibrant mix going on there.
Olympic gold medalist. I couldn't tell you which Olympics, but
exactly.
Yeah, might have been in Sydney 2000 from memory. Yeah, that was a big time for Australian sport. But yeah, and
so I'm liking the look of what Nick Hockley's done here. I'm not sure how many new have come in with him. Anthony Everard's certainly been there for a while, but he's got a new look to his panel. He hasn't got people that were probably wrongly geared towards high performance, where they had a rugby head, Pat Howard. It was probably not the right mix for the job, and did not really. He was. I'm not going to go into detail, but the reality was it wasn't a good mix. So, with Nick Hockley in charge, I've now got a new look to Cricket Australia, a new feeling, and I'm very positive. He was in the job for a 12-month period in an acting capacity, and has just become permanent. I think only a matter of a few weeks ago, a few days ago, even. Yeah, and I think that that's a great sign. I think that's a great sign as to what I'm seeing, and it needed to happen because they were. One thing, you shouldn't have the same management for too long, should you? You can't have the same leaders for more than 10 years or 5, whatever. Say 10 years, because they become. They don't become only arrogant, but they become expectant. They don't really. They believe their way or the right. They gain a level of control that they shouldn't have. Don't you agree? I mean, most
that's true.
Needs a bit of a revise.
Yep, that's true. That is true. So
it's not just a matter of changing it for changing's sake either.
Yeah.
But it's
no.
I'm very impressed with what he's done so far.
Yeah. So
watch out for Nick Hockley.
Yeah, and I suppose obviously the administrations in India and New Zealand must be getting something right as well, because their teams being in this WTC. So
we'll have a look at India. They've got Sourav Ganguly as their BCCI president, a former Indian captain, respected to the hilt. If you talk to Debashish Sen, who was on Extra Time on my show, a whole host of other journalists, they've got utmost respect for Sourav Ganguly. He is an amazingly important administrator for BCCI, and has quite frankly brought them to another level. He's been magnificent. He's beyond reproach. He's not a corrupt leader by any means. He's somebody who has led by example, has enough financial success. That's not what he's in the job to do. He's in the job to make it succeed, and he's been wonderful. In the ICC situation, they've also had an element of change there as well, and again for the positive. So I would argue the ICC, the BCCI, and obviously Cricket Australia, there's been some quite distinct improvements. The ECB, English Cricket Board, which David Graham has been a large part of, so has Simon Willis as a part of my show. They've gone through Ashley Giles, who played for England, has more of a position where they've actually done something rather interesting. I'm not sure whether you knew this, Steve, but they've actually come out with a policy of being no actual coach. They've got directors of coaching. They've got people who have certain roles to play.
Right.
But I should take it back. I'm wrong. They have got a coach. What they haven't got is an actual head of selection. They haven't got a chief selector anymore. They let the coach and captain dictate the selections. Right. They've changed their policy altogether, which is I'm not going to say it's good or bad. It's very impressive. They're trying it. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
So the concept of chairman selectors is not there. They've got people who are in chief scouts who go out and have a look for players, and they recommend them to the coach and captain, and then they take them on board. It's an interesting change.
It's more like a manager role in football. They they're a coach manager. Yes. They do all the selections. Yeah. So in soccer, but tell me about that.
It's going to be interesting.
Tell me about Pakistan, mate. We had some great battles with them over the years. The great Imran Khan, legend.
Australia, you're talking about?
Australia. And, they don't seem to be heard of on the world stage as much anymore. That country. Have you across that?
As we speak, the Pakistan Super League is taking place in Pakistan, which is like an IPL, and they have a number of players in there actually that we would know who they are. There's a number of leading players in there playing that tournament. It's quite a high level tournament. But it's sad. Most Indian fans would agree the battle between India and Pakistan is ginormous. They have the most amazing battles. Not forgetting that pre-48, I'm sure it was 48 or 49, 48, I'm sure it was 48, they did not have any difference. India was India.
Yeah.
Bangladesh was India. Pakistan was India. They were all India.
Wow.
And Bangladesh was actually first called East Pakistan. Before it was called Bangladesh, it was called East Pakistan, which is incredibly bizarre because they're very separate from each other. And there was a divide. And look, the English were responsible for that divide as well. They went and they cut up the Punjab and the various Kashmir regions rather poorly. And you can't blame those people. Some of them were closely related, but all of a sudden were in different countries. Yeah. Can you imagine your house there in Botany, across the road to become another country?
Yeah, I know. So that explains the rivalry that they have. I do know they've. I mean, we've had some battles with Pakistan, but obviously India and Pakistan have had this, intense rivalry, and it's not just on the field. There's a lot of tensions off the field as well.
Well, I've been very lucky. I've been to several matches where India played Pakistan. Once it was either 2007 or 8. I can't remember which year it was, and it was in Bangalore, and I was there for India versus Pakistan. Pakistan had Shoaib Akhtar bowling, and the crowd was jam-packed. There wasn't a millimetre left of room. And I brought my then wife with me, and we were quite daunted. It was an enormous crowd. But when Shoaib Akhtar went on the bowl, he embraced that. Even though he was the so-called opposition, he was chanting when he went into the bowl, and the crowd erupted because he was engaging with the audience as a bowler, like a Lily would have done. And it was mesmerising cricket. It was sensational cricket. Probably, I would argue that was the best game of cricket I've ever seen in terms of the atmosphere. It was every single person in that audience was screaming. Every single person with great roars. Then we had the 2015 World Cup in Adelaide where India played Pakistan there. Packed house. Fever pitch match. Incredible atmosphere. Really, that basically matches anything I've seen in terms of crowd reaction to a match. Ashes, we know they're pretty good. Absolutely. The English go army go crazy. But an India-Pakistan test match in India is outrageously good. But even in Australia, where it's neutral territory, I could feel myself lifting off the seat. Yeah. There was that resonating sound.
Amazing. Well, let's hope we see some of that magic in this game tonight, mate. And you'll be watching. I might be watching as well. I'll see how I go. I've got to go, but I'm glad I've had a chat with you, mate, and we've covered a few points, and I might catch you a little bit later.
Yeah, do that. See if you're up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I will. If I am, we'll chat then.
All right, thanks, Steve. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, mate. See you all later.
Bye-bye. Now, Munchie says we get the blame, Al, for that in the Middle East. Well, I don't want to talk about the Middle East, Munchie, but yes, England has sovereignty over what was the Greater India, which included Bangladesh and included Pakistan, and they carved those countries up. Now, I'm not taking sides here, but that was not really the best way to do it. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah, there's an element of that true. It's true as well. We can go back quite a bit there. Okay. Pakistan is now an average team. You know what? Pakistan have got some incredible players. I mean, Azhar Ali's a fantastic. Babar Azam has been compared to the top 4. We talk about the top 4 batters in the world. Williamson, Root, obviously Kohli, and then Smith. But Buzzer Azam probably deserves to be that fifth in that cog. Okay, so Munchie once again is telling us the forecast here. And this is what we're getting as an update, guys. We're getting an update that Munchie, why don't you come on air, for God's sake? Depending on which forecast you look at, it's either light clouds all day with less than 10% chance of rain, which is perfect, and getting brighter throughout the day, or in fact, potential for some rain. Well, some rain means maybe an hour's loss of play. I don't think it's going to matter. They're going to make that up, I hope. Okay. Bhavesh Deshpande, they didn't have the final there because it's something that is tradition with World Cups, and this is a Test World Cup, to have it in England. And you have to understand that. The 1975 World Cup, England versus West Indies smashed them. Clive Lloyd was fantastic. Was in England, normally at Lords. I think the 2020 World Cup also started in England. I believe it was Lords. Then this was meant to be at Lords. It's the home of cricket. UAE was not the home of cricket. And with all due respect, tradition is that with a test match was the first form of cricket, test cricket, okay? And frankly, it has to be in a traditional place. Now, Lords is the most traditional test ground in the world, with the likes of SCG, Eden Gardens in India, even MCG, and a number of English grounds. That's where the starting point is. So I would agree. So Berami's asking as much as the rain stopped in Southampton. I believe it has. I'm seeing reports in front of me that it has. So that's a good sign. I don't think we're not going to have rain. We're going to have play, guys. We're going to have a lot of play, a lot to talk about tonight post. So I'll be definitely on post-game, rain, hail or shine. I'll be on. So you can be sure that'll be at 3 o'clock. Now, last time I had a 3 o'clock session, the game still went for a good half an hour longer. In fact, the game finished at 3:30. That was my time, which is, 4.5 hours. It's about 11 p.m. it finished, Indian time, and about 6:30 or 6:30 p.m. England time. So we will go to the end of the match. If I started earlier, then so be it. I'll start a bit earlier, but we're definitely going to be on tonight. Okay? Definitely on. And I've got some guests. Ben Cutting is supposed to be coming on at some stage. We don't know whether it's today or tomorrow. I will be awake for the first 12 overs. Where are you, Jupiter Rules? How optimistic are you about after segmenting? In terms of effort to make that happen, it'll be huge. There'll be nobody blocking and batting it out. New Zealand will probably have the first half an hour where they'll be a little bit cautious, but that could be actually to their detriment because India are going to come out. India's going to come out all guns blazing. This is their big onslaught. India's chance to win this match will be dictated by the first hour to 2 hours of the match. India take 5 wickets. Game on, India's got a big chance. But New Zealand not lose any wickets and go close to 170 or 80 without a loss. They're in with a great chance where they could score 300 and then really put pressure on India. But at the moment, that's what we have to see that happening. We have no guarantees whatsoever that will happen. I'll go back to that second day's play. First day was washed out. Second day, India they lost the toss and they were put in the bat by New Zealand. They did an admirable job, only losing 3 wickets. Had an for 62 opening partnership. 3 wickets, 146. India's day. Came out the second day buoyant with both Kohli and Rahane, 44 and 29 respectively. Looked like they were going to get big scores, both of them. Out pretty quickly was Kohli, 3 balls, and the batsman's succession fell, and they only mustered 217, having lost 7 for 71. It flipped very quickly back into New Zealand's favour. Well, it certainly did at that stage, and they did what India did. They batted well up top. Conway and Latham got a good opening partnership, but then they both fell only just before lunch, before dinner, before the end of the day's play, and that left Taylor without having faced many balls, and also Williamson without having faced many balls. So are we going to see the pendulum swing the other way again and have New Zealand falter early and India bowl well, having learned their mistakes of their first day's play of cricket? So that's where we're at. Yes, I do. You have to think positively. They both can come with an attitude to block the ball. That would be horrific. There's no way these two teams are going to do that. England might have done it, to be honest. England are very capable of staying there and knowing that the draw is good enough for them. Would have been terrible. The reality is that if New Zealand take charge early and score runs and they get 100 in front, well, India are in a lot of trouble. But if India take a whole host of wickets, well, then it puts it right back in India's favour. Okay. Where's it? Not come from Munchie. Where is it? So look here. India's missing a fourth seven. They are missing a fourth seven. They've got two very good spinners. What do they have else in there? Okay, I don't know. There's a lot more than just simply packing your bags and going to another ground. There's the broadcasters, the equipment, which is into the multi-millions. They're paying a lot to the ICC for the rights for all this. All of the area would be geared towards that ground. Now, yes, a week out they maybe could have changed that, yes. But it's not a matter of blaming anyone here. I think that even a week out, it's very difficult logistically to change the location. They couldn't even bring it forward because of the fact that the COVID situations have occurred. So they took a long time to decide between Lords to Southampton. So no, I don't agree. I think that ICC have done nothing to damages. An ICC World Test Championship final result will come within 2 days. You can never say that conclusively. I think we talked about stats around 60% and 20 odd and 10% being the way 25 and 15 or something was the breakdown. 60% draw, 25% New Zealand, and 15% India. That could go backflip very quickly on one of the sides if India gets New Zealand out very cheaply. It needs to wear the tail end of batting because this tail ender contributor can win the game, especially overseas, because whatever reckon. Yeah, they need a bit of tail end batting. Yeah, but they have got some really good batters towards the end. Didn't go their way, unfortunately, so far. If New Zealand have to win, what do? They think they'll get a score well over 300, putting them in front by well over 100. Anywhere from 100 to 150 lead is ginormous. That puts enormous pressure on India, and if India might muster only 200, that leaves only 50 for New Zealand to get and win. But if they get less than that, then there's a difference. The momentum where India may then be able to get a reasonable score, even 150 to 200, it's going to be very difficult. I don't think any of the sides will get more than 200 from now on. Definitely not the third and fourth innings. Over 200 is going to be almost impossible. But this innings now is where New Zealand have the ability to score 300. If they get less than 200, it's going to be that if both teams on 217, well, then it's game on. It's basically like a one-day match in a way. That'll be rather interesting to see if that develops that way. But I would argue that there's still a result. Let's think in terms of result, guys. Oh, no, they're not worried. There's nothing to do with bias towards England or anything. That's not true at all. Although there's been some intriguing discussions around who wins World Cups. In Australia, Australia won. In India, India won. In England, England won. So those three World Cups where those teams won in their home grounds may look suspiciously like it's been planned, but it'd be extremely unlikely that would have happened at an ICC level. We all know there have been individual players that have done things like bowl no balls and have been in cahoots. Some of the Pakistani players, some of the South African players, even the Australians, not through that aspect necessarily, but around other aspects of tampering the ball. But Australia has one hanging over their head. Shane Warne and Mark Moore were in a very nasty little exchange where they were deemed to be giving weather or pitch advice to some bookies. Well, if that's even half true, that's terrible. Can ICC come? Yes, I've already mentioned that before. We've talked about. Yes, I think so. Let's have a look. Today's weather conditions are good or not. The fact is, at this stage, they're good. And Munchie's already given us a report. Only 10% rain. Now, 10% rain is virtually no rain, isn't it? There's no indication of any rain falling. That means as long as everything's gone to plan, we'll have a game starting on time and we'll finish on time. Hopefully, light's not as big a factor. And then the day following is almost no chance of rain. So that's putting a lot of potential in the game being given a result. Match will be a draw. I understand why you're saying that, but let's not think that. Okay, Quick Legends, this is a good question. Will we spin or pace? Will pace continue to dominate, or is it going to turn the pitch? when you have two players like Ravichandra Ashwin and Jadeja in the team, then spin will play a part. Absolutely. But the pace bowling of Bumrah, Shami, and Ishant, if they all put their best foot forward, which I'm sure they've learned from the first day, as did New Zealand, we'll see a better fist of it. I would open the bowling with Shami and Bumrah and really go for it and have them bowl express and really tear apart the innings. Ishant Sharma would come on and bowl in his length, and in amongst all that, Jadeja and Ashwin will then take on two ends. If India are able to get two quick wickets, as in Taylor and Williamson, then Ashwin will come into play very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. And there'll be vulnerability there in New Zealand lineup, and they could go for a very cheap score, well under 200. If that's the case, where the game's been turned on its head, we'll have India batting their second innings, the third innings of the match, somewhere towards the mid to late of the day, and then India can score a lead of 150, 200 by the first session on the last day, leaves New Zealand two sessions, maybe two and a half sessions to get the score of 200 on. It puts enormous pressure on New Zealand, and likely, and India will also be out there to win. It'll become a great match with a great end. I think that's possible. Well, we've talked about this before, Kishore Tiwari. We've talked about the timeless test aspect. It doesn't have to be a timeless test. It has to be a test where 450 overs are completed as a minimum. Well, as an end, 450 overs. So that takes 6-7 days, so be it. It's very unlikely that it'll take more than 7 days anyway, even with 450 overs. So that would be the concept that would work probably best. I have no problems with that. I mean, it rained for 6 days straight and it started after that. It would obviously take longer than 7 days, but we're talking about actual time where there's play. I think 450 overs to complete a match. Thank you for joining me, Gil. How are you, Gil?
Yeah, I specifically joined. Hello, I specifically joined today because I saw a few comments yesterday which asked that where's Gurkirat. I couldn't join yesterday and the day before because I've been working and really not got any time to join today. Also, I've joined actually in my lunchtime because we might be looking forward to some cricket. So I thought maybe I join for 20 odd minutes and see what others feel like. And tell them that I'm not going anywhere. I am going to be a regular, but maybe not as regular as what they want because we've started to unlock a little bit. So sometimes I have to visit the workplace, and then it becomes difficult to join on every pre show. But yeah,
that's fine.
Hoping to look forward to some cricket today. Hopefully a good day of cricket and. Hoping that it's a full day of cricket as well because been quite frustrating.
Well, it's no one's fault. It's no excuses. There's 2 days to go. The crucial aspect of this match, I'm sure you'll agree, Gil, is the first session this morning. With 2 full play days of play, if India can take early wickets, especially Ross Taylor and Williamson, then it allows Ashwin and Jadeja to come into the game even more as the innings progresses. And you could see a score sub 217. On the alternative of New Zealand can bat through the first hour or two and not lose wickets, well, it's going to put in New Zealand's favour.
See, I think, there's only one team that can win. Because I don't think there's enough time for India to force a victory. They have to, out, then bat for probably another 70, 80 overs at least, and then get New Zealand out again. So I'm not sure if there's going to be enough time for that because we have to look at the conditions as well. It's not that the scoring's very quick. Scoring's obviously on the lower side. It's also got to do with the slow outfield and the level of bowling that both the teams have been, putting on show. So the best thing for India would be, to try and get New Zealand all out by around 250, so that a lead of 30 odd can be just accounted for the fact that New Zealand might be batting fourth. But overall, I saw a comment, which came that said that Indian bowlers were not able to eke out as much swing as what the New Zealand bowlers did. They just want to, let people know that swing happens in the air and not at a quick pace. So when you're bowling quick, chances of seam happening are a lot more than the swing happening, because the ball reaches the batsman and the pitch quicker than what you expect. The maximum amount of swing, if we see, actually happens at a pace between 120 to 130. We have seen the likes of Praveen Kumar, Bhuvneshwar Kumar do that. Even Anderson, when he's swinging, he's not bowling express. He's bowling below 135 to ensure that the ball stays in the air longer than what it should. Apart from that, the lengths that Indian pacers bowled on day three, when they were bowling to New Zealand, they were slightly short of length, because that is the length that comes very naturally to them. Because when you play in India, there isn't much swing on offer, so you tend to bowl the 4 to 6 meter length, which may not be ideal in the conditions in which were there in Southampton. So I guess it also had to do with a lot of what I said about muscle memory, because they were playing their first test in a very long time, and the first test in England, they'll take time to adjust to those lengths. And I believe that when India bowl today, we'll see slightly fuller lengths than what we saw, to the openers, which was slightly short of length, and trying to pin them on the back foot. What also didn't help India, the cause of Indian pacers, was that the pitch didn't have enough pace. And the biggest example, or the biggest indicator of that fact, was there were hardly any bouncers bowled. There was only one bouncer that was bowled by, I think, by Indian bowlers, and that was by Bumrah to Conway. So when bowlers are not bowling bouncers, that's the biggest indication that the pitch doesn't have enough pace, because they know that bouncer is going to sit up for them to play the pull, or play the cut. So yeah, I'd say that for these conditions, of course, Indian bowling attack that could have been put on the path. But we also have to accept that in these conditions, the New Zealand bowling is more suited, to do well than the Indian bowling, because Indian bowlers rely a lot more on seam, and the New Zealand bowlers rely a lot more on swing, which was evident with the lengths that they bowled as well.
Now, there's a question here, and I kind of see the point of it. That's why Shardul would have been effective in this pitch. Quite frankly, Shardul may have been a good player to have had in the team, because he bowls a slower pace and actually does get a fair bit of movement, not unlike a de Grandhomme in style. And as you probably know, Gil, in the domestic level of cricket in England, that is the county cricket, one of their most successful type of bowlers has been the very slow to pedestrian or military medium bowlers that they have. And actually, they've actually taken over from spinners in England. One of the reasons why England are not producing many spinners is because they got a plethora of these slow medium bowlers that are getting perches off the wicket or through the air that are actually being preferred to spin bowlers. And that's an interesting development that really Dom Bess and Jack Leach, there aren't too many of those around in English makeup. And it's evidenced by the fact that they're getting a predominance of slow medium bowlers. So that's what we're seeing. And that's probably why I would argue that the Grandhomme selection was a plus. New Zealand not having spinners has been for them a plus. India's only look. Gil, you're saying India's not likely to have a chance of winning, and New Zealand have. Talk to me after an hour's play, and if within the first hour to 2 hours play, India have taken 5 wickets, and New Zealand end up getting out for 180, we're going to see a different ballgame. And why I say that, Gil?
Yeah, but I don't think that the collapse. I don't think a collapse imminent, because sometimes we also need to account for the fact that collapse happens when you have stroke players in the team. Uh, Henry Nichols is a grafter, so is BJ Watling, and if the situation needs, then someone like a Colin D. Grandhomme can also bat time. And along with Jamieson and Saudi, New Zealand do bat till number 8. So I don't think that collapse is as imminent as what people make it out to be or think it could, because this is not the English batting lineup where you have a lot of stroke makers. This is the New Zealand batting lineup which consists of grafters mostly. And like I said, this pitch is also such that it would demand attritional cricket. India would also, be wary of the fact that they can't leave too many runs. They have to ensure that there's a lid on the scoring rate. So we also could see some defensive fields. And we saw that when Ashwin came on to bowl, there was no silly point for Kane Williamson. There was only one short leg and a slip. There was no backward short leg as well. And when Ravindra Jadeja also came on to bowl, there was a slip and there was a short leg. There was no silly point. So that's indicative of the fact that Virat Kohli is pretty much aware that in order to go for wickets, he cannot let the runs leak as well. So a collapse is not as imminent that what people make out to be. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but I'm saying that it's not going to be an easy meet for the Indian bowlers today as well by any stretch of imagination. Because, like I keep repeating, the pitch also doesn't have enough pace, which favors and aids Indian bowling, whether it be spinners or the pacers. Someone like a Ravindra Jadeja can thrive on a pitch which offers some pace because with his round arm action and the arm ball which he bowls, if the pitch has some pace, he could actually cause a lot of trouble for batsmen looking to play, from on the back foot or from the crease.
Okay. Now, I want you to think this through. After day 2, when India were 3 for 146, with Kohli and Rahane walking out to bat, what were you thinking at that moment? Honestly, were you thinking, Kohli?
I was thinking. No, I was hoping that India had reached 250 at least, and I think the fact that they didn't reach 250, also has to do with some poor shots, and I think a lot of blame should go to someone.
No, going on, answer my question. You were not thinking that someone's going to play a poor shot. What were you thinking, 250, or were you thinking more than that?
No, I was thinking minimum 250, somewhere between 250 to 275. And I think a lot of blame should go to someone like an Ajinkya Rahane. The shot that he played, my God, you should have heard what Simon Dool was saying. The fielder was just brought in, and he had just evaded the fielder the previous ball, and he tried to do the same thing again. And at that point of time, he knew that India had already lost 2 wickets. Virat Kohli was out, so was Pant. Him and Jadeja were the last recognized pair. India would have at least wanted both of them to bat till lunch, if not more. And
but you're talking about
the shot that he played. Oh my God, terrible.
You're talking post play. Let's be honest. And you would say that you were confident that India were going to score 250 plus. You're confident. You would have to be. Okay, at that stage, I was confident. Most people were confident. But it turned around. Today, you could argue most people are confident from a New Zealand perspective that they're going to pass 270 and even go towards 300. Yet that's not what happened the day after the previous time. All I'm saying to you is there's going to be more twists and turns than you and I think, Gil. And I'm beginning to see a pattern in this game where the momentum is going to shift left, right, and centre, which could see New Zealand not do well today. They did well, yes, the day before. They bowled and batted particularly well, especially Jameson. I think that we're going to see a lot more attack from India's bowling. And the attack will mean India's bowling will attack, and that will mean that India will certainly obtain some wickets. But the ability of Williamson and Taylor to survive is the pivotal point at this moment. If Williamson and Taylor can survive the first session or even 2 sessions, as in the first 2 hours of play, without losing the wickets, New Zealand are in an enormous position.
I agree. I'm not ruling out. I'm not ruling out a collapse. But what I'm saying is that New Zealand will be very wary of the things that could happen because they've already seen it happen versus India. So if they're ever pushed into a corner or where if they feel that they've lost 2 quick wickets, you'd expect their batsmen to just bat time and not think of runs because they know that if a collapse happens from their end, then they could very well lose this game as well. So that is what I'm saying. India they've seen India collapse, so they know what can happen, and hence they'd be better prepared. Also, again, like I spoke before, that they've already played 2 test matches, so they are better acclimatized to the conditions and to the kind of shots they'd want to play. With India, that wasn't really the case. and India's last three are like three number 11s: Ishant, Shami, and Bumrah. But that is not the case with Saudi, Bolt, and Wagner, along with that is not the case with Saudi, Bolt, and Wagner. Jameson is going to come at number 8. Saudi is going to be at number 9. People often forget this, that Saudi has the record for most sixes in Test match cricket. So it's not the same. That is why I'd say that New Zealand should be confident, and Indian fans shouldn't think that a collapse is as easy as they think it can be. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm saying it's not something which is very probable. I'm not saying it is impossible, but it is not probable as well as what people might be thinking.
Okay. The thing that's interesting to me is, in all fairness, Williamson hasn't scored runs for quite a considerable amount of time. Okay? It's quite a considerable amount of time that he scored runs. Joe Root did very well early in the year. Williamson's certainly done well on occasions, but he's had quite a few failures in the IPL. He didn't look well. It wasn't much to be said about his batting there, but in general, hasn't done well in the England series, that well in those two test matches he played. So he isn't exactly on fire. Okay. I'm saying they're both vulnerable early. India have to go all guns blazing early to get their wickets, and not short balls, but good. As I think Dale Steyn summed up. Dale Steyn has just made a comment, and I've just witnessed his comment. He said something to the effect, let me have a look. You need to be absolutely relentless on your length. If I'm one of you've got to be absolutely relentless with your length being spot on.
Both these batsmen are known to get out LBW. So what Staines mentioned is absolutely correct. That the lengths are going to be key, and there was a change in lengths, with respect to Mohammad Shami and Bumrah. The moment Williamson came out to bat, both of them were probably bowling a yard fuller than what they were bowling to the opening. We'll have to see how it fares out. And I'd also now like to say to the viewers that it's time for me to go because my lunch break's over.
Just before you go, though, just to answer the question there, do you think BJ Watling will make a big contribution in the match, considering his last?
So we are looking.
All right, I'm not sure that
Sorry, I lost you.
Gil, just answer that question before you leave.
I didn't hear you.
Answer the question which is there before you leave. Do you think BJ Watling will make a big contribution in the match, considering it's his last? I think we're frozen. The reality is BJ Watling will make a major contribution.
Can you repeat the question? I can hear you now. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you think BJ Watling can make a big contribution in this match, considering it's his last?
Of course. I mean, we've seen someone like BJ Watling anyway trouble India in the past with the bat, and he's also been one of the better keeper batsmen of this generation, and even if you look at the cricket history. So it's not just that it's his last game; it's also the like you keep saying, it's one of the greatest test matches in terms of context. So yeah, why not? He'd like to make a very useful contribution. Also, what people don't realize that he was brilliant with the gloves. He hardly gave away any buys. If I'm not exaggerating, then I think he saved some 15-20 runs for New Zealand with the gloves only when the ball was swinging a lot. So that's a contribution as well, what people don't realize. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, he kept particularly well, and you can see he's making an extra effort. He always makes a lot of effort, but it's even a slightly more extra effort now. So yeah, I think he'll play a major role, not only with the gloves, but with the bat. We'll see how he goes.
I'll have to leave now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gil.
I'll have to leave now.
We'll see you tonight or tomorrow. Okay. We've got a lot of guests that will come in and out, which is great. It adds a bit of spice to the match. Ben Cutting will be here, or maybe not today, but it looks like tomorrow, if not the day after. We'll have him here this week. And Jim Maxwell trying to get on as well. So we'll have some quality people coming on. Now, Munchie was talking the bowlers like Terry Alden and McGrath, metronomic, exactly. They bowl a length and a line relentlessly at the batsman. They've got no hope of getting away from that. They tie them up and make them play a full shot. That's the way Ishant Sharma, and certainly Bumrah need to bowl today. Jadeja and Ashwin will do their thing. Yeah, quick legends. I think you're right. There's been a lot of discussion around Siraj and even Shardul Thakur. They both would have been pretty electric. In fact, let's just see how the Indian bowlers to bowl today. But Siraj is a wicket taker, and he's proven that, especially when it counts. And that may have made the difference against Latham Conway early. So Bumrah's certainly not up to it. There's something missing with Bumrah at the moment. And really, if it comes down to it, they should have put Siraj in place of Bumrah. That's my thoughts on the bowling line. And Shardul Thakur could well have been factored in as well. I don't know who he would have replaced, but maybe one of the spinners. But I'll wait and see whether that comes into play. How is the weather today? Well, we've been talking quite a bit about this. It's believed to be a 10% chance of rain, which is very minimal, and/or an overcast day without any rain. So it's in that realm of virtually no stoppages. Maybe a slight rain pour at some stage for a small amount of time, but in essence, it'll be a rain unaffected day, and then the day after is even better. So we are looking at 2 days where we can get a result. 2 days already upon almost a day and a half to 2 days we've had is enough these days to win a test match. Now, thanks, Munchie. Munchie, you're saying thanks to Munchie, is he leaving? Is that what you're trying to say? Too much dew early on, but as it is midsummer here, it can be much lighter in the evening. He got married. Yeah, that's Bumrah's. Yeah, exactly. Bumrah got married. It has an effect on everybody. I'll tell you. They look at life a little bit differently when they're married. And I think his wife is actually one of the ICC commentators, not commentators, interviewers, which is a bit too much of a family for my liking. I don't approve of that necessarily. Munchie's from England. Yes, he certainly is. Yes, mate. Of course he says that. They should start at 9:30 rather than 10:30. I agree. Why not start earlier? But if they made the decisions, they can't change it. England seems to be a country where they finish later rather than start earlier. In Australia, we start earlier all the time and also go late. Yeah, this is really where this is the answer that needs to be answered. India must need early wickets if Kane and Ross are going. It's going to be in India. It's going to be in favour of India. Well, it certainly will help. I predict if they lose those 2 wickets, they'll lose 3 or 4, if not 4 or 5. And then we could see New Zealand all out in the mid-session of the day, which gives plenty of time for India, if they've got a lead, to make that lead close to 200 and then declare. If India gets a lead of more than 200 by the first session of tomorrow, or even the first hour of tomorrow, I would say they'll declare no later than somewhere in the first session, maybe more towards the first session, getting a couple over before the session break. That could be pivotal. That could well unsettle New Zealand, and depending on how well India bowls, that could make a match of it. But Gill's right. It's going to be hard for India to win this. They're going to have to get rid of New Zealand very cheaply, very quickly this morning, which is, a tall ask, large ask. All right. So, any questions, guys? Let's go through the questions. What ground staff cleared the dew? You can't. Dew forms at the point of when the sun sets. You can't do much about it. It's not really you can do. They won't have an ability to break. We say many threes in this match. The outfield was slow. That's a good point. That's an interesting point. That may even worsen now. If there's been an increased amount of rain, it may make the grass hold the ball or slow the ball down much more. It could well be the case. That's a good point. Good points, guys. All right, now we're looking at the time factors. Look at half an hour before the play's meant to start. Last outfield, hence why the ball is swinging after 6 hours. Yeah, that's going to be a factor. The ball's going to be swinging all the time. The next 2 days are going to be both swinging. There's going to be a lot of purchase. There'll be a lot of in favour of the bowlers. It's a bowler's deck for the next 2 days, no matter what. Okay, Giant Monday, we've been talking about this for the whole show for its last hour and a half. At this stage, we're looking at a draw around 60 to 70%. And at this point in time, New Zealand will have a slight percentage higher. Let's say it's 60% draw, 25% that New Zealand win, and 15% that India win. That's probably the fair broadcast. That draw might go up to 70%, which, we'll wait and see whether that's the case. If New Zealand get out cheaply, under 279, they get 180, that becomes a 50-50 split, which would mean, say, 60% draw and 20% both teams winning. And then India will then assert themselves and get a chance to actually bring their percentages higher. That's what I think. It feels the match being understood as much because we've been so extra concentrated on this match, and the large gaps in play have actually created this frustration. I get that, Baran. I get that indeed, but it's not to be worried about. I think we've got a lot to look forward to. So now we're looking at a time of 7:02. Let's just see if we've got any reports coming up about the pitch. Again, Staines' words, you need to be absolutely relentless. I think that's a great set of words. I'm going to post that while we're talking. I believe that's a great set of words, a great set of words. I think it's got a lot of relevance there. Let me have a look. I'm just going to put that up. That to me is a very, very good quote. What do you think, guys? Tell me your thoughts on that point, and I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it again to you. If Dale Steyn has said the relevance here, so I'm going to write the Steyn. Okay, so Steyn. He has said, you need to be absolutely relentless with your length, and I would argue with your line as well. And that's the key. That's probably a very significant point. At this point in time, you need to, I'll repeat this, Steyn, you need to be absolutely relentless on length. India needs to bowl well, needs to bowl sensationally in the morning session. So they're my comments on the day. It's this really, you can argue India's got nothing to lose if they just go for it. Absolutely go for it. Let loose the likes of Bumrah. Bumrah should really attack with some great bowling, and Sharma should keep a extremely annoying line length, and Ishant Sharma should. I'd have Bumrah from one end and Ishant and Sharma coming from the other end relentlessly. And at some stage, wickets fall, bringing Ashwin and Jadeja to do the same. Yes, India still can win. We've said 60% at this point draw, 25% New Zealand, and 15% India. Now, in one session this morning, that could become 20-20, 60-20-20, or even 50-25-25. And it could slowly but slowly turn into a situation where, there could be lots of... Birmingham and Phoenix have confirmed their new coach for the 100, which I don't think is very important at the moment. As in England, match time is 10:30. Can we get a 9:30 start? I would like it to be, but it seems to me that they don't favour that in England. They favour the end of the day to be extended well beyond the time slot. So you could see a very late finish, as long as there isn't bad light. Now, I kind of understand why Mustafa Khan is mentioning that, because the reality is that if they started early, they'd have more chance of going longer as well, considering how many overs they've lost. 186 overs or whatever. I don't know. So it's actually 180. Is it 186? I'm not sure. It may well be more than the 90. I think it's more like 190. I thought it was extra 5 overs added on. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, it's a real shame, Kilber Sharma. What a shame if it is a draw. 2 years of cricket, all for the match that will have draw. Well, it'll be joint winners rather than the draw, but yeah, I certainly get your point. So who's going to take wickets? I think Ross Taylor's make 50 at least, Rats. So the reality is that both Williamson and Taylor knowingly hold the key, as did Rahane and Kohli the day before, and they fell, or at least Kohli fell very quickly, 3 balls, and Rahane got out to a very poor shot. So they failed in their efforts to an extent. Although Rahane still got 49. and Conway's only batter that's gone ahead of him at this stage. So that's the difficulty we're going to strike them. It's really the concentration of the first hour to 2 hours is important. Probably the first hour in particular. If they take wickets, boy, we're going to see things really turn around. There's no doubt about that at all. Just checking on if there's any updates regarding the day. At 10 o'clock, which was effectively just 5 minutes ago, the covers were still on. That doesn't mean anything serious, but there is no rain, so that's a great result. The hover cover is going on the Rose Bowl. Not sure. So they brought the cover back out, I think maybe just in case. So the hover cover's off in a split second, so it's not an issue. Maybe they're being overprotective just in case. When is the first session starting? Any news? It's starting at this point. There's been no change. It'll be a 10:30 start. There's been no announcement of that, but there's no toss notice, so they won't need to announce it any other way. That there's been no official announcement. They've got probably about a few minutes left to tell us exactly what's going on regarding that. When does day 5 end? In England, what time? They finished at 3:30 the other day, which is my time. It was 6:30 p.m. So they can go as late as 7, but it all comes down to the bad light call. The 2 days of play have had bad light called in both cases. That's why the game stopped at that time. So effectively, it was bad light rather than a normal end of day's play that made that happen. So it's all about the light of the day, and if there's brighter conditions out there and it's less overcast, well, that light factor will be less relevant. And tomorrow it looks like that day will be fully there. As one reserve day, that's correct. Is it raining in Southampton? No. Is John Sharma to get more swing today in the conditions? Let's hope. Let's hope he does. Let's hope he does. Well, which 10 am I supporting? Heart says India, Head says New Zealand. I'm not taking your questions. I block your channel. That's fine if you do that. That's fine. I don't know where your question was before. I don't see any question before. So what is your question? Well, tell us what your question is. I've seen no question from you before. So if you don't give me the question, I can't answer it. I don't see any question from you at all. Yeah, I'm sad because you're not taking a question. What was your question? I'm going way back. Repeat your question, sir. There we go. Think South Africa and Australia are better options to ICC World Cup. Why? I have only one reserve. I think more. There's 2 reserves. Is a better option for this situation. Okay. South Africa and Australia are better options for location-wise. Perhaps for future World Cups that may be the case, and more reserves days. I get that. We've actually been talking about that all the way along. But England is where the location was. I have actually answered your question through other questions that have been answered. At this point, it's not going to rain today. Weather forecast. The weather forecast was, in fact, up to a 10% chance of rain, with overcast conditions all day, but 10% chance of rain, which is really, really good, or maybe a slight rain depression for a little while at a time. So it's very much in favour of play, and looks like on time. Can we get a half notice? I don't think they're allowed to do that. I think it's 95, but I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I think there's a fair point. You give it 450 overs as a time frame, and as long as it takes. Yeah, but Terence Alderman's right. Both teams are going to go for a result, no doubt. Batting will be hard for not only New Zealand, it will be hard for India and then New Zealand in the last session. The 217 that India got in the first innings may just turn out to be a really good score. We'll just wait and see. I'm predicting that, especially the last 2 innings, will be below 150 scores. Okay, so we've got from Munchie the record there. It's either time, with maybe as long as it takes in terms of overs, or 98 overs, which is the greater. So that means 98 overs, and that would mean, again, Munchie 98 or more tomorrow. That is a huge amount of overs, guys. And these conditions, that's huge. If you go 100 and almost 200 overs in the 2 days, you're looking at a very good chance of getting this match resolved. Well, the next country to win the World Cup, if you'd have to argue one of the two teams that are winning here today would be the right locations, either in New Zealand or in India, I would argue. That's my thoughts. Now, as far as the caps are concerned, I've got another one here today as well. That's this one here. I've got one over here. You can see there's another one over there. 3 examples of caps. There's 3 examples of caps I'm wearing. There's 3 there. See? All 3. So we'll be getting more or less caps over time. All right? Who was my favourite batsman? I've always said this. So Vivian Richards and Donald Bradman. And Gary said was one of my favourite all-rounders. Bowlers, Lily Thompson, Malcolm Marshall, even Wasim Akram. Spinners, Warne, Murali. Not so much Murali, more Warne. At this very moment in time, the percentages are 60% draw, 25% India, New Zealand, and 15% India. But in one session, that could turn completely around, and we could have India equal to, or if not ahead of New Zealand in terms of averages of winning. I was disappointed with Rishabh Pant's selection of shot. Yes, absolutely. I was very much disappointed with his selection of shot. It was very disappointing to me to see that. I thought that it was his day and he played a ball he shouldn't have. But then that's typical of Punt. He could do that one day and the next day he could win. So, yeah. Am I fine? Of course I'm fine. We should all meet together and play cricket. What a great idea, which we'll do that one day. The fans only, or the members of this group, we will get together one day in India and play a game. I can assure you of that. There'll be a day when we play. What do you think about MS Dhoni? He was a legend in his time. MS Dhoni was a fantastic player, was an integral in winning World Cups, a great player, won many games, especially in the short form. Test cricket was good too. Rishabh Pant's another person altogether. Adam Gilchrist, Dhoni, Pant. That's probably the order of events, and they're really in the same realm. It's not raining at the moment in Southampton. They've got a hover cover over the pitch, and it looks like we play as per schedule. Okay, so New Zealand all out for 190. India set New Zealand at 150, and New Zealand 9 for 6. We'll see. Basis upon the current situation, do you think that the batsman can play the Test match as ODI matches to get to the sort of winner? Well, not exactly in terms of exact number of overs, but yeah, there's no reason why they can't go for it. Absolutely. It's all going to be decided by the first hour to 2 hours. The first session will decide everything. If New Zealand don't lose a wicket and they're close to the 200 mark, it's a match that goes in New Zealand's favour. If they've lost 4 or 5 wickets, it quickly swings back to an even keel or an Indian favour. That's what we're looking at. All right, let's have a look at time-wise. What are we looking at time-wise? We're looking at another 15 minutes before the play is about to start. That means we should start to see a bit of evidence of what's going on in the game. Let's have a look. Because, of course, the coverage would have started. And was it the right decision to not pick Kumar in the squad? Well, I don't know whether he was firstly fit enough. That's the first question. And secondly, I think he wasn't quite in form enough to justify it at that point. What team will be more happy with the Mexican wins a draw? Neither. I'm telling you that clearly. Neither will be happy because they're both going to be winning it. India or Pakistan, they're both good. Iran, probably somehow who had enough time in their life to do what play. When are you getting the spider on? He's been quiet with his absence, but that's right, he'll come back. We can't get people to be on every single day, guys. You understand that. It's not like you guys have a lot of time on their hands. A lot of these people haven't got much time on their hands, you might think, and hence they don't have that chance. So at this point, there's pre-game discussion about the game. Where am I from, sir? I'm from Coogee Beach in Sydney, Australia, not far from the SCG, very close to SCG. Again, which team will be more happy to win? I think, again, neither, because they're both going to want to win this match. Of course, in the end, if it's a draw, so be it. But I think the reality is that we're going to have both teams going for that, and they won't be happy unless they get it. So I don't think there's any discussion needed there about that at all. There's a fair bit of discussion. The ICC is showing shots of various famous players talking about their thoughts on the match, about the history of cricket. Let's have a look here. Apparently there's some very light drizzle. I hate to say this, guys. Yeah, so there might be some light drizzle. That's unfortunate. We'll wait and see whether that is long-term or not. All right, guys, we might start wrapping this up. So I'm going to finish in 15 minutes. We've got 15 minutes before this is over, so I need to. I'll effectively finish around about the normal finish of the match. Don't play in the first session, you mean? It's hard to say that. It's been a bit early to say that music harmony. We don't know yet. We just don't know yet. So let me look at this. If there's any updates on the weather. There's no updates at this stage. So at this point in time, there's no dramatic change to events. Although they're saying there's light drizzle. I'm not sure what that actually means. Does it mean that they're not going to go on at 10:30? It's not telling us that. That was a 10:10 update. So there's no update which is of any note. Munchie's rain, go away. Anyone wants to play and get the WTC match. Well, Baram, I'm assuming you're actually singing that. Human Lie, we're doing a God. Thank you. Which format do you prefer? I prefer Test cricket any day. Is there any chance of India winning? There always is. Well, there's time, there's a game on. There's 2 days potentially of cricket here. Let's hope there are 2 days. And I'll be a bit annoyed if there's not. Yes. All right. 15. You're hearing a 15-minute delay. Okay. It must be very localised at the Ageas ball. So you're saying Munchie's dry where you are, is it? Well, it is a port city, isn't it? It's near a port, and that only lends itself to these problems, I'm afraid. Well, we're now looking at, I think it's Devon Conway is speaking. Yeah, it is Devon Conway. He's actually just talking as we're speaking now. Devon Conway's on, and he's having a bit of a chat. Now, he's done remarkably well, but all three test matches he's played, he scored above 50 runs in each innings. The first one he scored double 100. But Rani, I think you're trying to make out that you're a comedian here. Are you the Indian version of a comedian? I think it might be. You're 100 miles east, Munchie? Or 100 kilometres? What do I think about Sriharsh Cricket? They're magnificent. He and I do a lot of collaboration together, as you know. Do a lot of the street talks with him. I do some of the specific interviews around the grounds. So yes, Munchie to yes, 100 miles, is it? Okay. Yeah, and I think that Sriharsh does some magnificent summaries. And they're showing some shots of Devon Conway at the moment. He did bat well. He got 54, but that could be the highest innings. 100 feet. I'll give you a feet in a minute, Barama. Don't be cheeky. Batsman or bowler. Me, I was more a batter, but I did bowl a bit. Please use units much. I'll give you units as well. I know what he did. We know we should bowl well to keep it right tight. But for me, we needed an X factor like Siraj. I agree. He's shown us now a keep it tight bowler rather than a wicket-taking bowler. Bumrah also didn't bowl as potential. You're right. It's looking more and more that Siraj should have been included. For sure. Siraj should have been included. And even Shardul Thakur could have been given some consideration to join Shami and who else would have, or join Shami and then take care of the other two spinners on. Yeah, I don't know. So you're 100 units east of Southampton. What, 100 block of flats? Is that what you're saying by units? Stop mucking around. 100 miles. Oh, we're getting no updates here, guys. It's already now. It's literally we're now within 9 minutes of expected time. Started running us out of comma. We know that. We know that. Yeah, it's not looking good. Well, okay, we now see some live footage of Kumar Sangakkara with Isagua, and I think it might be Gavaskar having a chat. And actually, Brian McMillan. There's no evidence of rain in the shots we're seeing, but there are crowd members in the crowd that are not not undercover. The players are out there having a warm up, so it can't be raining too hard, if at all, while they're out there. So we're not hearing what's going on. But we're going to see play start very soon, guys. I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing play start. Whether it's 15 minutes later or on time, I think we're going to be pretty close to a start. Happy about that, guys? I'm certainly happy. Light rain, passing showers. I think that's probably the best way of describing it. A passing shower in Southampton. Which two teams would you like to see in the next World Cup? VJ, now that's so far away, it's not funny. I don't think it's going to be Australia. England may have a better chance. New Zealand and India have to figure between those three. I don't see Australia. Yeah, South Africa getting better. So it's a girl with some nice yellow shoes there. Everyone's got masks on the field. Indian players are milling around. There are spectators there. Everything looks like ready to go. Conditions better remain overcast with New Zealand batting. Let's hope so. That's the word that I'm looking for. That's what I'm jumping with excitement. That's the word I'm looking for, excitement. That's the word I want to hear. That's the word I want to see. Okay, guys, keep that up. The next 9 minutes. VJ Daniel Bennett Pakistan. Pakistan versus Zimbabwe in the 23 World Test final. What's that? Anshuman Gutta, Carlton, fat chance. I don't think Pakistan will play Zimbabwe. Not knocking either of those sides, but I'd be surprised if they're anywhere near up there. England, New Zealand, India, even South Africa, Australia, I'm not confident about. They're going to do a lot of changes to their way they're doing things to make sure they've got any chance. They're going through a bit of a slump, if you ask me. We'll see at the Ashes how good they go. It's going to be a very, I don't want to say mediocre Ashes, but the play will be a lot less standard, I think. It won't be as high standard. Jadeja is the X factor. Yeah, he certainly should be, and Punt, and even Ashwin. They're three for me. But the real X factor, who is the real X factor so far, guys? Tell me who the real X factor is. Who has been a real? By a country mile, it's been Jameson, definitely. He's been the X factor so far. Come on, Norman, they're so definitely a better team than South Africa. Well, South Africa played pretty well this match against the West Indies. They beat them quite convincingly. Their bowling attack is certainly very strong. The batting is a bit lame. Australia, I don't know. Jameson, yeah, is definitely the X factor. No, we're not going to rematch this game. Stop talking. Let's play this, get this done. Let's get this into it. Let's go. Yeah, there's drizzle on the ground. There is a bit of drizzle, but it's not serious. I reckon we might have a small, though, that they should get out there. In my opinion, they should get out there. Quick, smart. All right. Any more questions? There is a drizzle. Yep. Okay. Who will be the best bowler today? Today? Well, there's quite a few I'd like to see big bowling role. I still think Ashwin's going to play a major role. Bumrah should be letting loose and really showing his wares, not unlike Jameson did. Bumrah has the ability to take this match by the scruff of the neck, but he hasn't done so yet so far. He's been most disappointing. Hence, Siraj's inclusion would have been pretty much a bold factor to leave Bumrah out and to have had Siraj in his place, but it may well be exactly what they needed to do. Actually, now, both Music Harmony and Parami have been either drinking or something because they're throwing silly comments. Ashwin and Ishant, I hope they do. And Shami should too. All of them need to do it. Bumrah needs to get his act together. Shami, Ashwin, Jadeja, if they all fired, all five of them fired at New Zealand, they would have trouble. There's no doubt about that.
So we're not getting anything. There's no evidence of anything going on here. We're 4 minutes from when it was supposed to start was meant to happen. I'm just looking at the commentary here. There are quite a few footmarks, they're saying, on a fairly good length outside the off stump of both left and right-handers. A lot of wind about too. Ambition reckons it could be a little bit uncertain now. The rain stays away. There's quite a lot of tasty ingredients for bowlers to work with. I agree with that. So if there's footmarks, there's variable bounce, there's wind, there's going to be wickets galore, which really throws a lot of danger into the New Zealand early batting. For New Zealand to win, they will have to up the ante if they continue scoring with the same run rate. We'll only get a draw. True. They may be a little bit steady in the first. They might be a little bit steady for the first bit. But yeah, they just mentioned the covers have been on. That was what we saw. But there doesn't appear to be any rain. I don't know what's going on here. It's rather frustrating to watch all this. There's umbrella. Unfortunately, I'm seeing umbrellas up, which is not a good sign at all, I'm afraid. That's a very bad sign. You wouldn't be holding an umbrella unless it's raining, would you? There'd be no point in doing that. So let's just see what we've got here. Yeah, it looks like the scoreboard's being shown. There's only a minute or two until the game is meant to start, and there's no evidence of the pitch being. So we are looking at a delayed start. So who is your player to watch out for today? It'd have to be Indian bowlers, and I still think Ashwin. But it will depend on Bumrah, Shami, and Ishant getting off to a good start and allowing Ashwin to shine with Jadeja towards the back end of the first innings of New Zealand. All right, guys. It's now just approaching 7:30. It looks like the covers are on. There's no play imminent, which is very sad. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that, guys. If they start by 11, they can still get 98 overs in. Now, 11 o'clock is another half an hour away. So they still get 98 overs in, Munchie saying, which is very, very positive in his thought. That's a good chance. That's what Munchie has just said. If they get a start by 11 o'clock, which is still a good half an hour away, now there's every chance they could start at that time. They won't be starting the next 15 minutes, put it that way, I don't think. So they've got an extra 15 minutes on top of that, 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock start would still allow 98 overs to be bowled. All right. Let's have a look here. Yeah, there's nothing more been said, guys. It's pretty much all that's been said so far as that. That's okay. Again, guys, if you're watching this, the match hasn't started yet. Arnav Kumar hasn't started. Bumrah will take 5 wickets, all like Jameson. Let's hope. Let's hope that's true. Let's hope it's true. So please view, like, and share the posts of my videos, the live videos as well. But don't forget to hit the subscribe. Now, some of you people that are new today, please hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you'll know about more of these events happening. They'll be on tomorrow at the same time, and we'll have an evening session this time because there will be some play to talk about. And that's, again, subscribe, notification button. Please do it now while we're talking. And on top of that, make sure that you share it in your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook messages, your email groups, whatever they've got. Please send it through there. All the covers are back on. It must be very, very light drizzle, as I can't see anything on the screen. And you're saying drizzle is increasing. Well, there's not much evidence of that. I hope New Zealand win. Okay, that's nice comments from all of you. Yeah, they're showing the actual cover. Then there's a super sopper going over the top, who picks up all the rain. I like the apparatus in England is fantastic, by the way. It's absolutely great. When is it going to end, Norman? It's the session now. So, Ame and Maura, if you'd like to ask a question, please do so, or I will be going. If you have a question you want to ask, ask. I thank you very much for that, guys. That's a lovely message. If you're ready to subscribe, please acknowledge that and let me know. And I hope to see more of you as we develop on. We'll get more street talk, more newspaper interviews, etc. Okay, shame on the ICC. We've talked about that quite a bit. Are you watching on Fox Cricket Network? Yes, I am. I'm watching on Fox Cricket right now. You can see it there. There's some of the players in the outer part of the field. My RIP ICC. No, I think it's a bit hard. Well, I'll be on live tomorrow at 1 o'clock Indian time, which is 5:30 my time. 1 o'clock. Well, let's hope it starts. It should be starting within 20 minutes. Let's hope everything goes through. Is any missing Baresh? Yes, they are. Absolutely are. Prediction for today, I'm hoping the New Zealand get less than 217. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, guys. It's funny how all these people come on you. My prediction today, as I've said to you, is hopefully New Zealand get less than 217. We're going to match on our hands. That's what I'm hoping for. For the good length. We've got some stats here. Mohammed Shami, between 20 and 45%. All pace bowls, 30 and 35%. So Mohammed Shami is more of a full and good length bowler, they're saying. What's the COVID situation in Australia? It's very interesting. There's been 21 people cases, little spike here up the road from me at a school. Bit of a worry. Brahma, where are you from? Hey, tell us where you're from, Brahma. From a jail or something? Or? Good on you, Draco. I appreciate that. It's all well and good watching, guys, but do subscribe. Make it worth my while as well. Perfect. All right, guys. Again, Capital Verm, if you're here. Brahma, you're in Singapore. That's interesting. I didn't know you were in Singapore. So your time frame's all mucked up too. You didn't tell me that, Brahma. All right, that's good. Okay. So yes, my iFootball membership will be able to connect with me live. Yes. You'll be able to interact with me. When we get together, we'll have meetings and dinners and lunches in different countries of the world with all the guests that I have when they're available. We'll get together very physically. Hats, merchandising, the whole thing's a part of it. Has the drizzle stopped? It doesn't look like it. Kohli's out with Shastri, I can see. Dhaka, you're from Bangladesh. I've been to Dhaka. I've had lots to do with a number of your female cricketers from Bangladesh, including your captain, Ramana Ahmed. She comes and stays with me. I had Janshul Shamorna here. She's here now. She's one of your players. Very close to the Bangladesh women. Very, very close. Kohli's eating biscuits. Is it raining like yesterday? No, it's not raining like yesterday. Please that was Shah Raja, did you watch yesterday's session? She was on it for about half an hour with Miru Jawira. If you want to connect with Shapali, she's already been on yesterday. You missed out. Go look at this. It's still valid. It's still there. Go back on the previous tapes from yesterday's event. Apparently, no. There should be play. It should be on soon. It looks as though that we're going to get some play soon, guys. Looks very much like that. That's the case. Let's just see. Is it worth me staying on for a bit longer, guys, or what? Kohli's eating dry biscuits, not dry fruits, not biscuits. Mate, he's a fitness freak. We know that. I'm eating nuts as well. It's nuts. What do I do for a living? Well, I worked for the federal government for 36 years. I'm retired from that. I've been involved in media for on and off over 15 years. Had a cricket show 4 or 5 years ago called Through the Eyes of a Cricketer. Through the Eyes of a Cricketer. I had about 30 episodes. Interviewed a lot of legends on that. And it's available on TV Arcana, ARCANA. I'll show you that. And now I've got this for I've been involved with the Australia-India series, now India-England series, now this series, IPL, whole range of things. On platforms like Extra Time, Sri Harsha Cricket, Sports Today, ABP News, whole range of things. Great answer. This is why cricket does not play the Olympics. I agree. Where's your question? Please update that. Weather at the moment is drizzling. We're still going to get play today. They can't add another day. They can't change the day. They can't add another day. Okay? Both those things are not going to happen. Yes, the answer to that. So, any of you new people, please subscribe if you haven't. If you're on the line now and you're watching and you haven't subscribed, go and hit the subscribe button. Log in and subscribe and hit the notification button. Very simple request. All right, guys. If you're not getting any more questions, I will call it a day. View, like, and share videos. I've got some 500, 600 videos now, almost 600 videos. Interviews with Jeff Thompson, a whole range of ex-cricketers. All right. MC would have been better for the World Cup hole. No, it wouldn't have, because it's freezing cold here. We'll get the first two winners in these 2 days. I think so. We'll get a winner. No, it's still Draco. It's only going to be the one reserve day for this match. He's cricket legend. Jameson's probably been the winner of today of this match. All right, guys. Bye. See you. Make sure you've subscribed. Vikrant Gupta. Now I know Vikrant. He's been on my social media connection for some time. We've had a bit of a chat. I'm hoping to get him on. He'll come on hopefully one day when he's got time. Very nice bloke. Apparently, very, very nice bloke. All intents and purposes, very, very nice. Okay, guys. We're best considering going, I think, because there's nothing going on play-wise. To join live with me, are you able to talk about cricket? Give me a resume, I'll consider it. Manoj Dimri. I don't know much about that, Manoj. Tell me. Bring in Harsh Bogler someday if possible. I'll give it a go. I met him on occasion. He's a nice bloke too. All right, guys. So at the moment, it looks like there's probably no point in. Unless you give me good questions. Yes, sure. your prediction is right. Who wins today's first session, and you're in New Zealand? Very good question. I don't know. I'm going to say in India well, but to do that, they're going to bowl well, bowl good lengths relentlessly, and take charge. All right. Which nuts am I eating? I'm eating pistachio nuts. Pistachio nuts. Yeah, I'm thinking the answer on problem is going. There's no drink here. Shah Raja, she was here yesterday. You can't get her every day. She's not available today. She won't come on today. It was International Yoga Day yesterday, and that's why she was on with Miru. Go watch the video that's there at length, okay? It's still running the ground. It doesn't looks like. What is the COVID situation in Australia? We've had zero COVID for a long time, but the last few days we had 20 on. One scoundrel left the airport, and that caused us a bit of grief. A bit of panic. Not far from me, actually. We'll take a 5-wicket haul today for India. I'd love to say Bumrah, but I think it'll be Ashwin. I can't send you the live link, couple. I need to talk to you before to know what you're all about. Just can't come off fresh. So send me your email. Send me your email address. Send me your email address, not through YouTube, through Instagram at Norm Koch. Right? Send if you want to talk to me at Norm Koch. Look at here. We're showing some replays now. Not a good sign, guys. Yeah, we agree. Ross said something. I don't know. He said, "Drink water." I should drink water. You're right. The pitch will behave. There are big spots, footmarks on both the offside and leg side, on both ends of the wicket, near the batter's strike, near the driving length. On top of that, there's going to be an uneven bounce. Horrific pitch, really. It'll be very hard to bat well on. Put it that way. The role of MS Down here certainly led the trail a capital, my Instagram ID is there. See it there. You can see it there. It's been on the whole time. At Norm Koch. All right, guys. We've gone 2 hours now. More than enough time. Well, as Shane Warner says, if there's movement, if there's pace and bounce, there's turn. So yes. Has to be Tendulkar. The basket's very close. Frog engineer, is he? Well. Sabira Pasha. I'll try. Best test team. I would have said India. New Zealand's not very far away. Robert Shark and bowl spin. You're right. Again, but I don't think he's going to be negative. I don't know what we're seeing. Nathan Lyon bowl against India. I'm not going to say that. What team do I support in the IPL? Well, I've always been a Kolkata Knight Riders fan, but I do think Delhi Capitals will win this year. And I've said that if you watch the first 29 IPL matches, I was hosting a show on Extra Time in my platform about that. And you would know very well what my teams are. So watch me on Extra Time or on this channel throughout the balance of 31 matches, and you'll find out all about that. But Delhi Capitals will be potential winner. But I do go for KKR. I'm on my in as well, obviously, be there too, but I think Delhi Capitals turn this time. All right, guys. Yes, when I can, I certainly will be there. Okay? No, it's not flawed. I don't think that at all. They've done a great job to get it this far. Let's be honest. All right, guys. We publish from Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia. Okay, so I'm saying goodbye to guys. It's time to say goodbye. It's Norman Kochnick here. We've been here long enough. I don't think there's much of a discussion to go on at this point. The game has been delayed. Keep watching. Shasha, CSK. I like Chennai Super Kings, but they're not my team. I think we've got to give up on this blaming the ICC. You can't blame the ICC. They did their best. Okay? They had all sorts of difficulties. Don't think that COVID and timing and availability, it was just, and I think pushing of the IPL and all those things going on. You can't look at that as being anything other than that. All right? So, all right. I'm hungry, guys. I want some substantial dinners. My dinner time. Yes, India is missing Kuma, Bhuvneshwar Kuma. Of course they are. They certainly are. Siraj was probably a mistake, not having him in the side. All right, guys. I think it's time that I got to go. So look what we've got going on here. All right, guys. I think that's enough. Talk to you again soon, okay? Ramfark, Sean. So you're saying it's 50% now until that's a bit of a statement. I'm not sure. How about Indian girls? Well, I don't need to talk about here. Indian girls are beautiful, as we all know. All right, guys. It's time for me to say goodbye. This is Norman Kochnick from Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. View, like, and share the post. If any of you new people that have come on, Navneet Girl, MD Atkin, Gusawak Singh. Oh, they haven't been that bad. Okay. All you guys, please view, like, and share the posts. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you all hit the notification button. And we'll see each other very soon again. This is Norman Kochnick signing off. All the best, guys.